Hello, I want to show you what sliding scales look like, and first you need to understand the manual calculation of a sliding scale, and then I want to show you how to create one in Excel using vlookups. Right, a sliding scale, if you look at this, a sliding scale implies that the relevant percentage is applied per bracket or interval to each broken down amount of sales. That means that you will earn 4% commission on only the last bracket. So, for example, this example is 2,500. Let's say I sell 2,500, same example as the fixed scale, except that it is sliding scale. So 2,500 means that you will sell in this bracket. But it means that on the first 1,000 you sell, you earn 1% commission. On the next 1,000 you sell, you earn 2% commission. And the next 3, and so on. So it's broken down. That's why I've given you this. It's broken down into two brackets. So if you sell 500 Rand, you will only earn 1%. If you sell 1,500, you will earn 2% on this part, the 500 here, and 1% on the 1,000 there. Right, so that's what a sliding scale is. You earn a bigger percentage the more you sell. Tax also works like that. I'll show you a tax example when we do our practical in class. Right. So this is in English what it looks like. From 0 to 1,000, you earn 1% commission. Starting at 1,001 up to 2,000, you earn 2%. 2,001 to 3,000, 3%. 3,001 up until 1 million or whatever, infinity, 4%. If I put it on a line like this, I have bracket start is all these numbers. The bracket starts on that Rand. This bracket starts on that 1,001 Rand. So if I sell 1,001 Rand, I'll earn 2% commission on the 1 Rand and 1% commission on the 1,000 Rand. Okay, so on that number, this new bracket starts. The brackets end then with the red numbers. This bracket, the one before, ends with the 0. Brackets that start with 1,001, the previous bracket ends with 1,000, round. In this example, it's Rand, so you have decimals, but I think for the purpose of the example, you can ignore the decimal, ignore the cents. Right, so the bracket ends. This bracket starts on 1,001, ends on 2,000. Starts on 2,001, ends on 3,000. New bracket starts with 3,000 and ends in infinity. Right, that's what, okay. You understand the percentages, you understand the bracket end, the bracket start. The cumulative value means that if I sell, let's say 1,500 Rand, I earn 1% on this bracket, and then 2% on the little bit there. But if the moment you sell more than a certain bracket, you're going to have to recalculate all of that. So to calculate the full 1% commission on that bracket is 10 Rand. The full 2% commission on that bracket is 20 Rand. The full 3% commission on that bracket is 30 Rand. So if I sell 1,500, which will fall more or less there, I will earn 2% of 1,500 less 1, right, on the 500 Rand there, plus 10 Rand. Just to make things easier. If I sell 2,040 Rand, I earn 3% commission on the 40 Rand, and then plus 20, plus 10. So these are the numbers we need to create the Excel table, and these are the numbers we need when we do our calculation. For example, 2,500 sales. I'm going to put the star on the line 2,500 sales is more or less there, which is the 2,500. Meaning that it's 3% on this little bit, plus the 420, plus the 410. Okay, that little bit is 2,500 less 2,000, 3% on that little bit, right? So it's 3% on that, plus the 420 plus the 410. Right. And if you calculate this, it works out to 45 Rand. Okay, you need to understand this. So if you don't, listen to the clip again, because the Excel only gets more complicated. Right. Now the Excel table. This will not work in Excel. So we need to replace this table with something that would work in Excel. Right? You need to understand this formula, because you are only going to have 2,500. That's the only value you have. And you have to get, there's the 2.5, you have to get 2,000, 3%, 20 and 10 on that, say on the line that the VLOOKUP will find for you. Okay. I'll say it again. The only input you have is the 2,500. You need to get to 45. In order to get to the 45, you have to draw up a table or something in Excel. You are going to use a true VLOOKUP, right? To get to the 45, you need the values 2.5, like I've said there, and you have it because it's input. But a VLOOKUP should find the 2.5 in a table, and then next to the 2.5, it should find 2,000. It should find the 3%, and it should find this 30 Rand cumulative commission. Okay, now to do that, you have the following. 2 steps, same as with fixed, except that this looks different, and obviously your formula looks different. Now, VLOOKUP works the same. So you need the start of each bracket. We had fixed scale. So if you remember, VLOOKUP table, the start of each bracket and the relevant percentage. Now that is still exactly the same. Start of each bracket. If you have the line like you have it there, it's easy to read. Bracket start. So it's these numbers. Okay, start of each bracket. First bracket starts at 0, 1,001, 2,001, 3,001. Right? The percentage relevant in each bracket is 1%. Let's see, it's not formatted. Let me just format it quickly. Yeah, percentage. And I'm going to format the rest. This also is percentage. Then I can just type it 2. Okay, next bracket that starts with 1,001, 2%. 2, 2,001 bracket, 3%. 3,001 bracket, 4%. So that's easy. Fixed scale would look exactly like this. Now, now I've got the 2.5, because that would be my input value, and I've got the 3%. There's my percentage. So 2.5 would true VLOOKUP, go down to 3, see that 2.5's not there, jump back and can get me anything on this line. Okay, so I'm going to do this with this line so that you can get an idea. The idea is that we need on this line that I've highlighted, you need to have the 3%, which I do have. I need the 2,000 and I need the 30. So I still need the 2,000 and I need the 30. What is the 2,000? The 2,000, in this bracket, the 2,000 is the end of the previous bracket. I have to take it out because all of those rands have that commission on it. Okay, so take out the previous interval there. Right, so for all the other brackets, the previous interval ends with 0, previous interval ends with 1,000, interval that starts with 2001, the previous interval ends with 2000. There we go. The interval that starts with 3001, the previous one ends with 3000. There we go. So now we have 3 of the 4 columns ready. Cumulative. The cumulative out here is 30. It's easy enough to see. I'm going to type in the values for cumulative, but we are going to calculate it. I'll show you a formula to calculate that. Cumulative value for my interval starting at 0. If you earn full commission on the previous interval, which is there, you still earn nothing. Sometimes if you have a, let's say, a basic salary, each guy earns a basic salary of 5,000, you can start that off with 5,000. But otherwise make it 0. Okay. The interval that starts on 1001, if you earn full commission on the previous, it's 10. The interval that starts with 2001, previous full commission, is 30. The interval that starts on 3001, full previous commission, is 30 plus 20 plus 10 is 60. Right. These values I've typed in, but there is a formula. I'll show you what that is. The formula, I need to get to these values. The formula for 0 is 0. Now, how did I calculate the 10? I said, remember I'm calculating this 10. I said 1000 less 0 times 1%. 1000 less 0, close the bracket, times that percentage. Okay, I'll show it again. Equals, for the bracket that starts at 2001, it is 2000. Remember, on that 1 rand, there's 3% commission. So that's the 2000 less the 1000. Open bracket, 2000 less 1000 times the percentage valid there is 2%. But we're now in the third bracket, so there's 2 cumulatives. Okay, sorry, I forgot a bracket over there. There's 2 cumulatives. But the previous one I've calculated in the cell above, so plus, there we go. 2000 less 1000 in brackets times 2% plus 10 rand. I don't know if you play chess, but this is the way a horse jumps in chess. Rook, I think it's called. There you go. In an L shape. That less that times that plus that. And once you've got that in, you can copy and paste it down and see if it's true. Bracket 3001, previous cumulatives 30 plus 20 plus 10. There you go. I can get rid of the typed in values, and I have my cumulative values. I can also add the plus 0 there because the previous brackets, and then my formula is consistent. And that is your vlookup table. Right. Second thing you need, you have a minute left, is you have to replace all these values with vlookup values. We have our input 2,500. Commission is, where do I get the 2.5? Open bracket, and B34 less vlookup, the blue, in the green area. And where do I get the 2? In the second column. So minus vlookup, second column, times, now I need the percentage. VLOOKUP, the 2,500 in the same area, the percentage is in the third column. Default is true, so I don't have to say anything. Plus the cumulative VLOOKUP, that in there, cumulative is in the fourth column. And that is sliding scale VLOOKUP formulas.